So in this tutorial, we will learn how to quickly export a high quality video and a small size video perfect for uploading online to share your video with the world. I will be walking through all of the options to explain them further, but really for this one, I just want to show exactly how we should do an export so that you can do it quickly. The first thing you want to do is go to your timeline, set in and out points for export. So go to the very beginning and press I on your keyboard, and then sets an endpoint like this, and go to the end and press 0 for the out point. This means that it will only export the portion of your timeline and it won't include any music that's on the right of your timeline that you don't want to actually export anyway. So then you can go to the file menu, go to export, and go to media. You can also use shortcut Control M. Right. So this window comes up here, and first you want to go up to the format here and choose H.264 under preset. Then you can go down in the preset and choose any of these, that high quality 10080p, match source 2020, mobile device 720p, 4K, and VR, and so on and so forth. So they got pretty much everything here. Also, you can download a few presets, import presets as well. Remember that we set our sequence settings. It was 640 by 360. And you can see that actually right here. So this actually is going to stretch it up to 1920 by 1080, which isn't really making it HD. For this project, you might not actually need for the best settings, but for any video that you shoot on your phone or a modern DSLR, probably going to be shooting at the setting 1920 by 1080 dimensions. And I'm going to set this to mobile 1080 by 10, HD, full HD preset here. Right. Also, you can click on this output name and you can see you can choose where you want to save it. I'm going to choose on the desktop for now. You okay, save. So it is going to be here on my desktop. Right. So we do want to export video and audio, so we'll check both of those. We're skipping a lot of stuff over here right now, but make sure that the width is 920 and height is 1080. Or if you want to make it smaller, you can. For us, we might actually want to make this 640 by 360, but again, if you're recording a typical video you shot on a different camera and it's not compressed, 1920 by 1080 is good. If you scroll down this window, you'll find a bunch of different options here. So here I have bitrate settings, and go from VBR1 pass to VBR2 pass. And under here you want to check this maximum render quality. All these check marks, checking these boxes, again changing this to 2 pass. and it doesn't increase the size of the file, which is estimated down here, but it will make it look better. It'll make the colors come out better. It'll make the more sharp, everything slightly. You might not be able to notice that, but especially if you're watching it on a phone or a YouTube. But if you're watching it on a high resolution screen, you will probably able to notice some minor differences. When you check all these boxes versus not, the downside is it does take the longer time to export. So if you need to export it faster, you can uncheck these and still be a high quality HD. But for now, this is good. I will leave the bitrate at 16. I'm going to go ahead and type in 16. And 16 as well. 16 is a good number for 1920 by 1080 videos. If you're exporting 4K footage, then it should be higher, maybe around 25 or so. But for our purposes, 16 is good. And then you can just go ahead and click on this export button. If you hit Q button, that's really fine. You can hit Q button, but it will take it to the media encoder to export. But if you just want to export it quickly, you can use this button right here. For this, you need an extra program, that is Add to Media Adobe Media Encoder, which you have to separately install that, and then this will work. Otherwise, this will not work. So if you don't have that, then you can just go ahead and click export that. And once this will be done, it will be on your desktop. Click, and it will go through the process like this, and it will appear right on your desktop.
Same year I was diagnosed. That summer, the whole ALS Ice Bucket Challenge.
Now let's go through some of these export options so you understand what is going on. After setting in and out point, you can go up to the file menu, go to the export, and export media. This will open up the export module. You can anyways extend this as well. Now on the left side we have our source. You can actually make adjustments of in and out point of your project down here in its timeline. So you can also down here, by dragging it in or out, you can extend it or maybe cut it out. You can choose the sequence in and out options after doing that as well. So this is out point and this is an in point. So I can even extend it or maybe just cut it out at the point that I had before. Set in point, out point, even after setting it. So you can do it here as well. You can do the entire sequence or your work area, which you go back to your timeline and click on this and click on work area bar. This is your work area. You can select how much you want. Now there's another bar you can use actually that comes in handy to limit yourself. So say you have a project that needs to be 30 seconds. You can put this right at the 30-second mark, where you will know as you work that you have to end it there. And then back in export settings, you can use Control M. Here if you choose the work area, it'll come in. So as per the work area. Or you can just go and leave it on sequence in and out as well. So going back to the export settings on the right side, if you want to export just add settings of your sequence that you have imported, you can just select this match settings button and that's going to export at the settings of your sequence. And so that might be a good thing if you're quickly exporting for something preview purposes. Typically I can change the format though. Under the format I have H.264, and there are other kinds of formats like QuickTime and PEG2, maybe just audio files, MP3, AIFF, waveform file, and so on and so forth. But most purposes you're gonna want to use H.264. It's just a good to go quality for most video makers now when you're posting online videos. Later on we will be learning about the QuickTime setting when you're exporting a full resolution file, but for us we are just going to stick to the H.264. Mentioned all these presets we had here. You can create presets, and also you see this guy here, mobile device 100p settings, which I use. Basically sets everything: the target bitrate, the maximum bitrate, and it's also going to match the sequence settings for whatever sequence I'm exporting. So you can create new presets by changing all the settings down there. And by clicking on this button here, you can just save this. It's not gonna let me because I'm on the preset right now. Say maybe I'll change the frame rate to something else. Let's go in here, frame rate. Anyway, if I make a change here, it will be able to save that. And I could save this as preset mobile 100 HTTP. So we saw here, this is the output name. Inside the location here, you can change the title of a video where you want to save it. But if you want to export the audio for some reason, you can do that, or just the video, then you could do that as well. Summary gives us all of the information about our output and our source. And then down here we have the different tabs. Over here on the left we have the effects. You can apply lookup tables, like check this on. Here you have some, it applies right like so. So with the preset effect we will go over later on. First of all, I'll just keep it as I'm not looking for any LUTs. Apply here. Okay. You can add image overlays, name overlays, and time code overlays, and that are for more professional video editors to use. Time tuner. The video tab we have here is just what we saw before. Here we have our settings for the size of our export. You can change this size. Typically we're looking for 6:9 frame, so 1280 by 720p could work as well. This is an HD format with this little button here that is locked. This locks the aspect ratio. So if I uncheck that, I can actually make this a perfect square. Maybe I want to make this 1000 by 1000 pixels, but it's not looking so good. So it's actually squeezing everything into a square. So we want to watch the actual aspect ratio of our project, that is 16:9, frame rate 29.97, and sometimes you might want to be exporting at different places, so you might need to use 29.97 or 59.54 as well. So field loader comes here in handy. How your video is actually output on screen. Actually, your video is broken down into lots of lines. So of your height is 180, 10, let's keep it 1920 by 1080 is good, and I'll log the aspect ratio. So it's just the way that it appears, since for most of the cases we're going to use progressive. So let's just leave this as progressive. Uh, 1920 by 1080. Maybe I'll just go ahead and change it from here, high quality, and there we have it again. Okay, so here square pixels is generally what you want to check, unless there is a specific case and somebody else wants to ask you a specific export option, depending on if you're projecting it on a certain type of projector or something like that, TV standard or PAL will versus NTSC. And it says when you hover over this, US and Japan use NTSC, and Europe and Asia use PAL. So it's just the way that's been for a long time. If you're watching this and you're in Europe, you probably are going to be shooting and exporting in PAL. So leave profile, leave at whatever this is. So we saw render at maximum depth. It's really interesting, this option. Premiere Pro doesn't automatically render any maximum depth, so I just check and that makes sure it has the best export quality. Next we have the bitrate settings. Now this is what really affects the size of your file. Bitrate encoding, you have options of CBR, VBR 1 pass, VBR 2 pass. Make sure to export quicker, but 2 passes means it actually goes through the export twice. It goes through all of our frames of your video twice, and it makes colors and everything look a little bit better. The target bitrate and the max bitrate, the basically is how much information in the terms of file size is happening per second. So your target would be 16 megabits, say 1.6. Keep it 1.6 as well. Your max is how much it's limited to. So max will be 16. Generally these two are same. You could go lower if you want. And if you lower the target bitrate, you'll see estimated file size decreases there. So if you need to export a small file size, you can lower it down here. Once you get past 16, you're exporting a 1920 by 1080 film or video. There is no reason to increase the target bitrate past 16 because it's not actually going to make your video look better. Each size has a specific bitrate, That is a sort of maximum bitrate that matters for that size of video, and 16 is about for a 1920 by 1080. And there's these other tabs here. So like audio, you have wave formats, audio formats. So if you want to export Dolby Digital 5.1, you're playing in the big theater, it requires 5.1, or we can just leave it at here as one as well. We are having the sampling rate at 48,000 hertz. You might want to get it to 100,000 hertz, or maybe 32,000 hertz. Most of our projects we use 48,000 hertz. Channels you can use stereo or mono, but it's going to make the same exact sound come both from left and right speakers. Stereo, if you have things on left and right speakers, it's a little bit different. If you recorded or your audio on stereo, it is going to export it at stereo or 5.1 surround sound. Leave this quality of the audio at high bitrate. 320 is the highest kilobits per second. So the higher the bitrate, the higher the quality. So I'll just leave this at the highest. Multiplexer, captions, publish. They're just some advanced options. If you want to add captions, or you have created the captions in Premiere Pro and you want to export them as a specific file, or you want to publish directly to the Facebook, then Vimeo, YouTube, or Adobe Creative Cloud, you can go ahead and sign into your account here. And then use the maximum render quality. Again, that's just like a block you have to click. I suggest to clicking it, make the quality better. And then the other ones I just want to mention quickly is to import into project. If you want the export to be imported into your project, you can automatically click and you will get that. Last time we had just clicked export button and it exported straight from Premiere Pro. But now I'll just go ahead and give a Q button and it will open up the export in the Adobe Media Encoder. And this will allow us to do export in the background while we can continue to work in the Adobe Premiere Pro. Sometimes I'm batch editing a lot of projects. So at one time, so I want a project exported, a long project. Sometimes it's not just a 1 minute project. There's a 30-minute project, and it takes quite a long time, or maybe a 2 hour long event that I'm editing. So I want to start the export, but be able to continue to work with other projects or different versions of the same project right within the Premiere Pro. So for that, I can use the Q button. It opens up the export in the media encoder. Here we can go through and change our export settings. They also have the same presets. And right side we have these formats. If you click, it brings us back here. Click on this, you come up with this option here. If you click here, it will also bring up this dialog box. So you can choose the different presets and the formats from Adobe Media Encoder, and the output file, you can click on that and go to give a location where you want to save it. And the reason why it's a queue, because it is actually add more than one projects to this. For example, when I'm editing a course, often multiple lessons are at once. So I have 10 lessons that I want to export. So maybe editing them in Premiere Pro and then export them and add them to the queue, and continue editing while all of them export. So you can see here while I press the button here, play, it will start processing and see. So we are on our way to have the project exported. So there are great resources on Adobe's website on different codecs and different formats. That would be very complicated to teach here, but that's something that you need to go through, and that will make you much better video editor when you work with the Adobe Premiere Pro.